Hey, what's up, Vermintide here, taking a look at the co-op medieval first-person shooter Warhammer End Times Vermintide, developed by Fat Shark Games, the same guys behind War of the Roses and Escape Dead Island. Vermintide brings 4 heroes together to push back the Skaven hordes as they mount a full-scale offensive on the people. The comparison to Left 4 Dead is an easy one to make, as many of the game's mechanics are very similar if not the same. The biggest difference though is instead of fighting off zombies with guns, you'll be fighting off hordes of rats, or Skaven as they're known in the Warhammer universe, with primarily melee weapons like swords, hammers and daggers. Being the same developers behind War of the Roses, a medieval combat game, all the melee weapons feel great to use, with quick and heavy attacks tearing through the Skaven hordes in a satisfying manner. When things do get a bit dicey or overwhelming, you can block enemy attacks at least for a little while until you run out of stamina. If you're getting completely mobbed, you can also push enemies back, causing them to stumble, giving you a couple of seconds before they fully recover. While your melee weapon is your primary form of offense, each character also has a ranged weapon, most of which are ammo dependent, the Bright Wizard's Firestaff the only exception. These ranged weapons can be bows, crossbows, pistols and even single shot rifles. Almost every one of these weapons are a one-shot kill, however, even being extremely powerful as they are, they're best used to pick off a couple of enemies here and there before the horde manages to reach you. You can't really use them as your main weapon either due to the ammunition consumption. Even using them now and then will result in you running out of ammo. Luckily, ammo crates can be found at various locations around the map, so you can top up if need be. Other items found around the map to help you out on your missions include potions, grenades and healing items, each with their own inventory slot. While utilizing these items isn't entirely necessary in the easy and normal difficulty modes, you will have to take full advantage of them in the other 4 modes. The potions you have available to use include a power potion that increases your damage output and a speed potion that increases your move speed and your attack speed, both potions being equally important and requiring you to use them at the optimal time as they only last around 10 seconds or so. As for grenades, there is also 2 options, with a normal explosive grenade dealing a large amount of area damage, and a fire grenade that will leave all enemies caught in the blast burning and taking damage over time. Lastly, the healing items, and again there are currently 2 options, with bandages that can heal you or can be applied to a teammate, and a healing potion which can only be used by the owner, both items healing for around the same amount. As a character-based game, Vermintide currently has 5 characters to play as. Allowing only 4 players for each game, this does allow for slight strategic picks. The different heroes include the Witch Hunter with a pistol and rapier, best used in the front line, attacking extremely quickly while also being quite resilient. The Bright Wizard with a Firestaff and a Wizard Sword, the only character that relies on a ranged weapon more than melee, but you will have to stagger your damage output so as not to overheat. The Dwarf Ranger with a battle axe, shield and dwarven crossbow that can take a beating and dish it out. The Wave Watcher with a longbow and dual elven daggers that is rather fragile and better off sniping targets at a distance with her bow. And finally, the Empire Soldier with a handgun and greatsword that is all about brute strength, breaking through even the toughest armor. These characters aren't locked to these loadouts, able to change different weapons once obtained, that will have variations in 5 different stats including speed, damage, knockback, targets and finally ranged, depending on whether it is a ranged weapon or not. The missions in the beta, of which there were 3, varied quite a bit in their setting. In one mission you'll be running through the city streets, the next climbing a massive tower. The mission objective, however, is a bit the same throughout, basically coming down to making your way to a certain objective, activating it, and then having to hold out against a very large horde of Skaven. I hope there is a little bit more variation in the final game, which I fully expect there to be, with different objectives like trying to outrun a horde bearing down on you, or even perhaps some boss fight. The enemies you'll be facing are all Skaven based units, starting off with the common clan rat, with weapons and armor consisting of whatever they can get their hands on. Skaven Slayers take the next spot, but only barely, being completely unarmored with basic weapons, and their main purpose of overwhelming their target rather than overpowering. The elite units of Storm Vermin are like a Spartan unit with heavy armor and halberds. These guys march around the maps in large groups and are best avoided if possible. That does it for the basic units of the game, but there are still quite a few specialist units like the Poison Wind Globadier that will throw gas grenades on your position, the Gutter Runner that will assassinate any team members found by themselves, the Packmaster that will single out a player and run off with them trapped in its polearm, the Rattling Gunner that is equipped with a Gatling gun, and finally, the most powerful of the lot, the Rat Ogre, a large abomination that is capable of destroying a whole team on its own, but when aided by other members of the Skaven horde make it almost impossible to deal with.
You were a soldier.
Pain! It's too much magic! How about this, Skaven? Fire's turned against me!
Vermintide offers some progression elements to the game, utilizing its unique character loadout system in a really cool way. At the end of a mission that has been completed successfully, you'll get an opportunity to roll dice in order to unlock and obtain either a weapon, helmet, or trinket. The higher the roll you achieve, the higher the rarity of item you'll be able to unlock. You can help your chances of a better item by collecting tomes scattered around the level that will give you one higher chance die for each tome. There are also Skaven grimoires that will give you a guaranteed roll success, but will also reduce your team's health quite significantly while carrying them. Finally, in terms of collectible ways to increase your chances, there is a slightly better chance die that can be found in any loot spawn area like chests. The biggest difference in your item rarity chances, however, is the difficulty level you play a mission at, with normal difficulty allowing you to only achieve a blue item on a 6-die success, while on harder difficulties you can achieve an orange item, the rarity color scheme going from white, green, blue, and then orange. So a 3 success roll on normal you will get a green item, but the same roll on hard will give you a blue item. So what do these rare items do exactly? Well, their base stats don't change from the standard version of an item to an orange rarity item. Instead, the rarity will provide a weapon with bonus stats, green giving you 1 bonus, blue giving you 2, and so on. These bonus stats include things like 5% chance to gain 25% attack speed on a kill, or a 10% chance to replenish a weapon's ammunition on a kill. These bonuses also work off the same rarity system. For example, a green weapon can have an orange bonus stat, and the bonus stat needs to be unlocked at the forge with a gem before taking effect. These required gems can only be obtained by deconstructing weapons at the forge, with the resulting gem's rarity dictated by the deconstructed weapon's rarity. Another option you have for unwanted weapons in your inventory is to trade up 5 same rarity items for 1 higher rarity item, again via the forge. Other features of the game include a really nice lobby system that is almost completely void of menus or menu screens. Loading into the game, you will load into the tavern as your selected character, able to move around, attack, try out new weapons, access the forge, your inventory, and the mission map, all via the in-game tavern. It's a small feature and not an entirely needed one, but it is much nicer than menu screens. Other than that, there is also best performance awards given out after every successful mission, with most kills, most damage taken, and least knockdowns being a couple examples. Altogether, Warhammer End Times Vermintide is a great co-op experience that looks great, feels great, particularly on the melee weapons, and adds a ton of replayability to the Left 4 Dead formula with the RPG item rarity feature. I'd like to see some more mission variety and maybe a couple of boss fights here and there as something else to work towards outside of better gear, harder difficulties, and completing the storyline. I would also like to see a special ability or ultimate of sorts to add into the combat system, but that may just be the mobile player inside of me speaking. For anyone looking for a really solid co-op game to play with friends with a really great setting and progression system, then Vermintide is definitely a game to check out. Anyway, that's been my player preview for Warhammer End Times Vermintide. The game is officially releasing on the 23rd of October on Steam for $30 or your regional equivalent. If you want to find out more about the game, check out the links below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.